Okay, now we're good.
You're good.
Hi, I'm Karen Dalno. I'm chair of the Harbor Liability Work Group meeting. We just had a meeting in the last hour. And what we're trying to do is to be able to provide higher liability principles to patient safety and to evaluation of our cases for the commission. Mike Carroll has been assisting us in this, and we come up with some ideas about this. It includes creating criteria for examining cases that are close to commission meetings, developing guidelines and principles for commission members to use when reviewing cases, recommending that every case is different, defining a process for informing everyone that have a settlement contract that following offering instead is always an option that can be useful. Though that a respondent is entitled to a settlement conference instead some statement of charges is issued, but the statute is silent on settlement conferences for STID, exploring labor and industries processes for key decisions that might serve as example, create a process for physicians to call the commission to get advice and move bar associations, ethics hotlines, and then the commission has been working a lot on streamlining the CMT process. Melanie also was formed in Commission College, in which members of the commission were instructed by moving the first in a more formal way. These are just some preliminary recommendations. We had some discussion and a few action items on this list. Any questions about this?
One thing that was recommended by Dr. Chung was that he would like to, as part of educating the commission on the work of the group, if he would like to give a lunch and learn on high reliability in the work of the group at the earliest opportunity. And I don't know what the schedule is for that, but that's what he said and talked to Jimmy, as I talked to Jimmy and Melanie about him providing a lunch and learn. He would rather do it in person. I think the October meeting is virtual, right?
We don't do lunch and learns at October meetings, so you could do it, and we have something scheduled for November, but we don't have anything for any of the dates next year. So, and then May will be virtual, so I would suggest not doing it at May. So January or February or March, January or March, April.
Should I tell him in January, pencil him in, or do you want to?
Just have him reach out to me.
I think part of the issue, he had given this talk before, a number of years ago, but since so many commission members are new, it would be a good idea to keep this sort of. Any other questions or comments on Dr. Calhoun's report? Okay, I'm Christine Blake, I'm chair of the policy committee, and we have 3 documents to go over today. I think they should be fairly quick. Thank you all for attending. The first one that I'm going to bring up is overlapping and simultaneous elective surgeries. You'll be able to see the red line changes that were made, and I've spoken with Dr. Domino quickly about it as well, and both of us felt that these were appropriate as changed. Are there anybody else have any questions on concerns of this one? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve with the changes as noted? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. The second document is the delegation of decision-making health law judges. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns?
I'm happy to explain this one because it's probably not clear to you exactly what this means.
Thanks, Mike.
You make decisions at every step of the licensing, almost every step of the licensing and disciplinary process. The Uniform Disciplinary Act allows you to delegate decision-making to a health law judge. So you probably think, why would we ever do that? Well, every board and commission fills out one of these documents and checks these boxes, and you decide. In some cases, the decision-making is so straightforward, there's really not a whole lot of discretion involved. And to save time and to make these cases go faster, there's some decision-making points that you really don't need to see. So that's what this addresses. So I'll go to the first one, which is the second box checked. And this has to do with a statute that requires a suspension of a license of a license holder who has been found by DSHS to have abused a patient. And once that finding is made, he has to be suspended. So there's no discretion. So in that, and I can't think of that ever happening with a medical commission case, although it does happen with other professions. So because there's no discretion, you have to decide, at least 4 years ago when this document was developed, and actually many years before that, that because it's an automatic suspension, that you can have the health law, have it go to a health law judge rather than wait for a meeting, and have the health law judge sign that order suspending the license. Everything that happens after that is back to you. The next one, if you can scroll down, Jimmy.
Oh, it's me.
Oh,
She's doing the online stuff.
The next one is to serve as final decision maker in response to a motion for hearing a non-compliance order. So if somebody doesn't comply with an order, I'm not talking about a STID, but an order, you have a couple of options. You can vote to issue a statement of charges for non-compliance, but another option is to file a motion to suspend the license based on non-compliance. Now that is also rarely used. Because usually when we notify a respondent that he or she is out of compliance, they snap into compliance pretty quickly. But when we do file that motion, we've done it a handful of times, we don't have to convene a panel. We decided years ago to have a judge do this, and all the judge is deciding is the person in compliance? And if there's any question about it, the judge backs out of it. So if a respondent, for example, has to file a report from their therapist, it's a quick and easy decision. Is the report in the file or isn't it? And if it's not, that judge will suspend the license. And that's based on the language in the order. So it's very clear to everybody that this can happen. After that, the case comes back to you. So how you settle the case or reinstate the license or revoke the license is your decision. So this is a very ministerial decision that you're passing on. The next one is default. Yeah, the next one is default. So when a respondent fails to respond to a statement of charges, the judge finds them in default. And the step after that is to issue an order of default suspending the license. You found it very efficient, rather than waiting for the next meeting or convening a panel by phone, to simply hand that over to a judge to sign that order of default. And then the case comes back to you, and what you do with that suspended license is up to you. It comes back to you. It doesn't go to the judge permanently. It comes right back to you. And the final one, I think there are two more. Go ahead and miss one.
Oops. There's one. There's
Oh.
those two.
370. Can you scroll up? That should be checked. It's right there.
This one?
Okay, this is what we do. I don't know why that's not checked. As you know, when a provider, and this does happen regularly, a provider is prevented from practicing in another state or committing unprofessional conduct that's unprofessional conduct in our state. It's an automatic suspension. There's no discretion there. So when you may vote on that at a meeting, you might have done it today. when the papers are prepared, it goes to a health law judge to sign that order suspending the license. Okay, then the very last one is the catch-all. You can see there's a lot of unchecked boxes there for other situations that we think should come back to you, or your predecessors have decided to come back to you. The last one says that you can send any case to a health law judge on a case-by-case basis. Outside of these categories, you can set it over whenever you want. So when would you do that? So there's been a couple cases where we've had a hearing. One was 11 days, another one we couldn't get a hearing panel for. And so you delegated the hearing to the health law judge. And the judge sat for that hearing and made findings of fact and conclusions of law, and then you get to review that order, review it all and sign off on it. So on a case-by-case basis, you can make that decision, and that's very rare. But anyway, that's why this document exists. If you disagree with any of this, we can change it. We can uncheck those boxes if you want.
Any questions or further discussion on this document? Hearing none, I have a motion to approve checking the additional box that Mike pointed out.
So,
Wait.
All in favor? Any opposed? The last document is the personal appearances procedure.
Just to be clear on the last document, I remember now I had to bring up a new document, put in Dr. Chung's name as the chair, and then recheck the boxes. So I think I forgot to check that one box, but if you check that box on 370s, that's the same document. You check the same boxes you've always checked. It's not a change. Personal appearances, this is a procedure that was written by Dr. Morgan Barrett 4 years ago to explain the process of personal appearances, which underwent a significant change 4 years ago. I ran this by him. This is up for 4-year review. No one asked to bring this up. This is just brought up because it's 4 years old. And I sent to him and said, do you want to change anything? And he came back and said, no. So, but you may want to change something. You may not like something. Maybe something needs to be updated, adjusted. But I didn't find anything and he didn't find anything. So this is the document to review and decide whether you want to make any changes or keep it as is.
I looked at it as pretty nice, and I like it. I don't have any suggestions.
What others?
Can I ask one small question? Just try to promote inclusivity. When we talk about the attorney of his and her attorney, could we say their?
Good call.
Did you review the whole document? or the-
I did, and there's one more typo at the bottom of the first page.
I got it.
Got that?
Okay, he's on it.
Thank you. Any other comments or changes?
Oh, yeah, there's a missing word there.
I have a motion to approve the changes noted. All in favor? And no opposed? That brings us to the end of today's meeting. Do we have anybody from the outside?
There's no questions.
Okay, and meeting's adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
There's all that.